Bear, do you think all these revelations coming out this week about hot dogs? I mean, that's really gonna ruin your ballpark experience.
That's gonna put a damper on things. I'm gonna have to go to tofu, I think, but that probably causes cancer too. Is there anything left?
That's the next study, I'm sure.
Is there anything left that doesn't cause cancer?
I don't think so.
I think you'd have to eat like 800 pounds of bacon a year to have that effect. But I don't know. It's just people, I think, in an uproar over something that, like I say, you'd have to consume so much of that processed stuff that I don't think there's going to be. You ought to get cancer if you eat that much of it anyway.
Do you think there'll be any change to the sausage race over there in Milwaukee after all this?
I don't think so. Not unless they go with the vegan hot dog, if there one exists. I don't know. Dress them up in a vegan costume.
The all grass-fed hot dog.
Yes.
Who knows?
I'm
just going to keep eating them.
Whatever. I'll keep wolfing them down.
Tubed meat product gets put in front of me.
It'll be down to there'll be nothing left that doesn't cause cancer. So yes,
call it a day.
Anyway,
I suppose we could get around to actually talking some sports around here. We've got some area playoffs. A couple teams still left.
We do. Yep.
We've got the World Series, which starts tonight as we tape this.
Hopefully the weather doesn't look real good down in KC.
And Packers, big showdown this week.
Big game, Sunday night,
showdown.
NBC.
So we'll talk all that here in a minute on Extra Points. There, I did this on purpose today. I wore my Milton red.
Your Red Hawks.
Because
soccer and volleyball.
They've put together a pretty good fall postseason here all the way across the board. And
better than anybody else has, that's for sure.
I mean, here we got the golf team, the girls golf, third in the state.
Yep.
Football won a share of the Badger South again. We got the boys soccer team, which got to be a favorite to go to sectional finals this weekend. And the volleyball team plays in a sectional semifinal this Thursday. That's a pretty good little fall.
That's a good year. That's a good year for any school.
If we could just eliminate that whole crypto thing.
Yeah, well, the crypto thing, and you know what? Give Coach Bill O'Leary a lot of credit because he stayed classy and said, hey, look, I'm not going to get into that. We lost because we didn't make enough plays. So I know it had an impact on the game, but the fact that Bill wouldn't really talk about it doesn't surprise me. He's classy and that's the way he is. But I can tell you from being there that that outbreak of that epidemic had a serious impact on that game.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a quarterback that can't really function because he's been going through
He lost almost 30 pounds. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Some of their best players, some of their starting players just weren't themselves anymore, and that changes a lot of things.
A lot of things, yep.
We'll get to the football matchups here in a second, but first of all, Thursday, we've got these sectional semifinals for boys soccer and volleyball. We'll start with boys soccer, I guess. The Milton Redhawks actually going to be hosting a match. They probably didn't envision that, and I don't think we did either, but the second-seeded Milton is going to host Fort Atkinson, which pulled off the stunner over the weekend by beating Elkhorn, so that'll be at 7 p.m. Thursday night over there.
And a team that Milton handled pretty easily in the regular season. I think 8-0. Yeah. So, you hope you're not too overconfident, but certainly you got to like your chances of advancing to that sectional title game on Saturday and likely probably Wanakee, I think.
Oregon
would be
at Wanakee.
At Wanakee, and Oregon, a team that not as good as they've been. Certainly a very good program, but hey, the way the Redhawks are playing right now and scoring goals, you got to think they're going to have a good chance to get to Eline Park and play in the state tournament.
I don't think that scoring the goals has been much of a problem this year. It's been maybe giving up the goals and giving them up early sometimes and falling behind and having to play from behind a little bit. That's bit them. But here they are, and I think, I think all along I was looking forward to the Milton Elkhorn showdown because that's just what it's been in sectional semifinals over the last couple of years. But now Milton's got a pretty prime opportunity to make some noise.
Well, and I think for Elkhorn, it finally came back and bit them where they just, the chance I got to see him play against Delavan, that sit back and kind of wait and, try to let your defense dictate things.
Well, I don't think that was really the case against Fort Atkinson because the Fort Atkinson goalie made like 17 saves.
Right.
So they got their offense in. They
got it going, right, but it's still they didn't score. And, you got to put pressure on teams early, especially teams that you're supposed to beat. If you let them hang around and stay in the game, I don't care what sport it is. If you give teams that opportunity, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to.
And then in Division III, Delavan Darien, Here they are again.
No one's going to beat them. They're not going to lose.
I mean, they continue their streak. I know that you've brought up that they've won every match this year by at least 2 goals. I think they're now up to 29 matches in a row, dating back to last season when they started their 6-win romp through the Division III postseason, and now they're 2 wins away this week from going back to state for the 2nd straight year.
Fun to watch. I mean, I can't see them losing, but again, I don't think either one of us could see them winning state last year, and they, just really played well at the right time. And this year they've just been solid all season long, and I just don't see that changing. And I would expect the Comets to get state title number 3.
I just didn't think it was going to come right away. Like, I knew they had a bunch of young guys coming up behind the big senior class from last year that were talented, but not a huge senior class this year. So the leadership, you would think, you wonder if that would be there, but it has been. They haven't any problem just stepping right up,
and they're going to be just as good next year. They win it this year. They're going to be looking at a three-peat as a heavy favorite next year.
They've got Whitnall 7 p.m. Thursday. They're at home at DDHS, and the winner will play Grafton or Shorewood out of the other side on Saturday. Supposed to be in Whitnall, 6:30.
I would assume it'd be Grafton, because Grafton's been ranked all year, and that's a team that Delavan handled last year in the sectional semifinals.
One of
those two. Yeah. So in Grafton, I think was number 2 in the state last year when they beat them. So again,
Tigrio Huerta, Jason Cano.
Yeah, you got to play the game, but I really like Delavan's chances to, if nothing else, get back to the state tournament.
I'm going to try to pull off a little double header. I'm going to go to that match, but before that, I'm going to check out Milton. The volleyball team is going to play Burlington in the sectional semifinal. Saturday night in Milton was one of the more fun matches or events that I've seen in a long time. But Milton would take a lead, Fort Atkinson would battle back. They would win games that you thought they were going to lose. They would lose the games where they should have held on and won. And it goes 5 games, and they beat Fort Atkinson, and it was pretty fun to watch. But now you're going up against a whole different beast there.
I just read something the other day. Burlington's ranked 50th in the nation. That's the nation. That's not. That's pretty good stuff. Team from Wisconsin, where volleyball certainly is on the up, but compared to a lot of the southern schools and the schools out west, it still lags pretty far behind. Obviously, the University of Wisconsin's program has made a big difference in the fact that they're now on a national basis with a lot of those other programs. But I think for more than anything, for Melton, two of the goals this season were to win the Badger South title. That's done. And to win a regional title. Did that. So, I think anything after that, with that bracket and those teams, is icing on the cake. And you know what? You show up and play your hardest, play your best, and you never know what will happen. But certainly a tough task for Melton, because as good as Rachel Butterfield is, Burlington's probably got 3 Rachel Butterfields on their team. Right. So, I mean, it's a tall order, but kudos to Wayne Hansen and that program, because, that's not easy to do, to take a program that's, not been down but hasn't gotten to the level where you want it to be, and he's done that in a short period of time. And
they beat Fort Atkinson 4 times in 1 year, which is pretty hard to do. Yeah. And especially with teams that were pretty well matched up against each other.
Yep.
So, speaking of tough matchups, we don't have a whole lot of area football teams that have made it to the second round of the playoffs, but the ones that have made it there are going to have their hands full Friday night.
They are.
I went and saw Evansville Albany Friday. They, I called it a blowout, 14-0 blowout of Pewaukee, because that's pretty much what it was. They dictated the whole game.
Right.
But they just didn't score the points that maybe they should have. They have a couple touchdowns called back on penalties and things. Otherwise, it could have been 28-0 or so. But now you go up against Catholic Memorial, a team that a lot of people think has a chance to go to state.
Ouch. That's just what I'd say is ouch, because that's just a bad matchup. And we talked about that earlier today, that Evansville Albany did everything you're supposed to do. They won all of their regular season games, won a conference title, didn't lose, and yet they end up as a number 3 seed in the toughest bracket in the state by far, where in years past they'd always got sent north to the Madison bracket, which this year would be Reedsburg, Monona Grove, Mount Horeb, Barneveld, and La Crosse Logan, which 4 teams that they can certainly play with. Not saying they can't play with Catholic Memorial, because their defense is good enough to play with any team in that division, but it's a tall order to go on the road. You're playing on artificial turf for the first time all season against a team that plays in the Division I conference, the Classic 8, and their only 2 losses are to Muskego and Arrowhead, 2 teams. One of those 2 could be in the state championship game in Division I. So, you think, well, Evansville's undefeated. Yeah, they are, but Catholic Memorial plays in the best conference in the state, and they got 2 losses. So, it's a case where if Evansville can keep it close, Evansville-Albany can keep it close, and, spring a couple of scores somehow, might have a chance, but, you just hope that it doesn't get away from them, because what they've accomplished this season and what they've done, you don't want that to reflect on what happens in your last game of the year.
Yeah, they did get a win for the first time in a while, which is nice for them. But I don't know. I just think this defense is tough, and I think they can keep it close at least.
I think you're right, and I hope they do. And like I say, if they get it to the fourth quarter in a close game, who knows what can happen?
Yeah. Walworth Bigfoot, the other team in Division, they're down in Division 4. But
double ouch.
Another team that, they went on the road, so kudos to them for going on the road and beating an East Troy team that beat them in Week 8 of the regular season. But now you're rewarded with a trip to Lodi, which is, I think, everybody's favorite to win the D4 state title.
Well, I mean, let's put it in perspective. I mean, I think you and I both, when the football tab came out this year, we said, hey, this is a rebuilding year for Bigfoot. Well, guess what, folks? It wasn't a rebuilding year. It was a reloading year. They were, Rock Valley South champions for the 9th straight year. Didn't dominate as much as they have in years past, but they won a conference title. They won a playoff game, and that's a young team. They're only going to get better, and they didn't take a big step back like a lot of people thought. So do I think they can go up to Lodi and play with the Blue Devils? No, I don't. I would expect Lodi to probably handle them pretty well, but still, I don't want it to take away from what they've accomplished and what Greg Enns has done since he took over for Rodney Weddage, and that's, keep that program on top.
We'll see what happens. I mean, that's why you play them, right?
That's why you play them. That's right.
Another team where they'd like to just grind out a low-scoring game. I don't know if anyone's capable of keeping Lodi down to that low score,
right?
But that's what they've got to try to do. And then Division II, probably the area team with the best chance to move on to the quarterfinals is Lake Geneva Badger. They get Oregon, which is the team that upset Milton last week.
Right, and I think if you look at that game, even looking back at the Milton-Oregon game, I think if Milton plays Oregon 10 times, they beat them 9 times. But just a case with the
crypto,
with the crypto and everything else, and one long run, and it got away from them. And Oregon very dependent on that big play, and that's what they got last week when Matthews goes 69 yards.
I don't think that Badger defense gives up a whole lot of those
didn't have much
plays.
Offense other than that. And, Badgers going to run the ball and then run it again and then keep running it. And, Milton had good success running the ball. They just shot themselves in the foot with 3 fumbles and a block punt last week, and I don't expect Badger to do that. And I agree with you. I think Badger gets a win Friday night and moves on to the 3rd round.
Well, I mean, they're just not susceptible to those huge plays. Mm-hmm. I mean, and when they get the ball, then they grind out long drives that wear down a defense. And
right.
So I think that all adds up to, Badgers offense being on the field for a long time. Them not.
And I don't. And again, it's not a knock on Oregon. I just don't think they're that good. I think they got lucky last week in a number of ways, and especially with the illnesses. And like I say, I think Milton was a better team than Oregon, but hats off to them. They got a win and they found a way. And
how about the Southern Lakes?
Yeah, it's crazy. They're the only conference in the area that did do well. The Big 8 was 2-5. Our area teams were 3-6 overall. So kind of a down year, so to speak, for football. But the Lakes is kind of shown the brightest of all of them.
We shall see if one of them can find their way to the state championship game.
Right.
We got a couple of weeks before that. But we will keep you posted all the way through. You can follow us on GazetteExtra.com, and Tim Seaman's always there in the office tweeting out scores, and you and I will be at games again this week.
And for anyone going to the Evansville-Albany game on Friday night, Waukesha Catholic Memorial plays their home games at Schneider Stadium, which is on the Carroll University campus in Waukesha. It's not at the high school. So if you're watching this and heading over there, head to the
don't go to the high school.
Don't go to the high school. Go to the campus stadium where Carroll University plays.
Got a few friends, speaking of going to games, that will be at the Packers-Broncos game this week. And
yes.
Of course, I used to live out there, so that helps me know a few more people out that way. But both 6-0. Here we are, about the time to figure out what these teams really are.
It's going to be interesting because, and again, I don't think either team with a loss is doomed or anything because I still think they're in pretty good shape. But I'm really anxious to see how good Denver's defense is against, along with Tom Brady, the best quarterback in the NFL. And, you can say what you want about Green Bay's defense. Yeah, they gave up a lot of yards to Rivers the last time out, but they got to win. I mean,
they have the top scoring defense in the league.
They're 6-0, and Manning. Let's face it, Peyton Manning.
He's looked bad.
He's looked bad, but that just means he's due to have one of his games. But
I think both teams coming off the bye too makes it really interesting.
It does.
You've looked at what you've done yourself over the last 6 weeks, figured some things out, maybe tweaked some things to give a look that the other team might not be expecting. It's a primetime game on Sunday night. I mean, I think that's when things can get really interesting. And I think for Green Bay's sake,
one of the biggest things is their wide receivers. Will Adams be able to go, and will Montgomery be able to go, or do you got to rely on Janis and Aberdarius and some of these younger guys where, that allows Denver to kind of key on Cobb and take him out of the game. So I think health and having those 2 weeks off, should help Green Bay if they can get one or two of those guys back in the field.
Also very interesting running back situations because Lacey has been the workhorse, but Starks was really good that last week before the bye. I don't know which way they're going to go. And then Denver, same thing. C.J. Anderson was the starter for the first few weeks, but Ronnie Hillman is kind of taking over.
Well, and I think in the case of Green Bay, and I think McCarthy said it best, he said Starks wasn't playing because Eddie was hurt. Starks was playing because of production. He was producing, and that's the case. And I don't think Eddie Lacy's 100%. I think the ankle's still bothering him.
But after a bye now?
After a bye, but now you're going on the road in Denver, and he's got asthma. Is the altitude going to bother him? There's a couple of things, but it's nice to have Starks as a backup. On Denver's side of it, I don't think, and listen to all the pundits, I don't think there's any question that Ronnie Hillman's a better tailback than C.J. Anderson. I think he's more explosive. He certainly catches the ball better out of the backfield, and I think by the end of the year, he's probably their starter.
I think when we probably all thought about this game at the start of the year, we knew it was going to be, I don't know if we knew both teams would be undefeated, but we knew it was going to be two teams that are playoff-worthy Super Bowl possibility teams. But we probably thought it would be a shootout with these offenses. And now you've got two of the best defenses. Vegas has set the total at 45, I think, or 45.5.
Well, and their defense has really been a surprise. I mean, I know they picked up DeMarcus Ware and made a couple other additions, but they've been really good. I mean, really good. But, it's funny. You look at, they said Tom Brady faced the Jets' #1 defense last weekend, and they said in the last 7 games that Tom Brady's faced the #1 ranked defense coming in, he's 7-0. And, I kind of look at him like you would look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, especially now giving him a couple of extra days to prepare.
But that's the same thing for Manning though, too, right?
Same thing.
I know he hasn't been himself, but
Manning, health-wise, is never going to be where he once was, whereas Rodgers is pretty much in his prime. But
his mind is still there, so I feel like if there's a time where he could have a chance to pick things apart for an extra week. I mean,
and since they've gone to that pistol formation instead of lining up under center, Manning has been more effective, but it's just there's times when you watch him where he just can't get as much on a throw as he used to, and I don't think that's coming back.
I can't imagine you're going to pick the Packers.
No, gosh, no. I
don't think I'm going to either.
I'm going to say I think there'll be some points scored.
I'm going to say it's be more of a slugfest offensively.
31-23 Broncos.
So you're defying Vegas and saying that these offenses are going to put up some points.
Yes, it's prime time. It's Sunday night, and I just think Manning's due to have a good game, and Rodgers, he's gonna air it out because he doesn't want to get shown up by Peyton. So
it'll be a good one. That's Sunday night, so you got all day Sunday to do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want.
Settle in for the night.
Get the lawn mowed for the last time.
The World Series is underway. Depending on when you watch this and what the weather does.
Do you care?
Yeah, I think I do.
For who? I mean, for a team or just in general that it's the World Series?
I'm just kind of excited in general.
I just can't get excited about it. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, there's some ex-Brewers playing for Kansas City, and the Mets are a good story with their power pitchers, but I just can't. I can't get excited like I probably could have had it been maybe the Cubs and somebody else, or I don't know. It's just maybe once it starts and I start watching, it'll be different. But right now, I can't wrap my arms around the World Series.
Yeah, I think the former Brewers does help me make it more interesting for me. Obviously, Ned Yost and
Escobar and
Lorenzo
Cain.
Yeah. Guys that I was thinking about this yesterday too. Now you think about some of the positions in question here for the Brewers as they move forward and try this rebuilding thing. Well, I'd say center field. They don't really have a true center fielder right now.
Phillips, I think, is what they're hoping for, the guy they got from Houston.
And that's Lorenzo Cain is now one of the best center fielders in the game. And
Escobar's a Gold Glover.
Gene Segura started out gangbusters, but hasn't really found that form again. Maybe he will. I think we owe him another year to see, but you would take Escobar at this point.
Well, not only that, but I think Ned Yost has proven he can manage.
Well, he's a conundrum to me. I always liked him at the Brewers. I didn't necessarily think they should have fired him when they did. But when you look at his record in the regular season, he wins like 47% of the time or something.
Well, he's
but then in the playoffs,
he's got his team to back-to-back World Series. So,
in the playoffs,
I'd take that anyway.
He's 18-8 in the playoffs.
I know. Well, Nedley's doing something right, and if you're a Kansas City fan, you don't care. You get the World Series 2 years in a row. I mean, that we haven't been able to say that as Brewer fans since 82, 83, 82, was it? Yeah. So,
who do you like?
Well, I've been so wrong on this so far.
Whatever we decide, just go against
it. Give me the Mets because of their pitching. How's that?
I sort of leaned that way to the beginning too, but now I'm starting to think maybe I'm overthinking. But the Mets had so much time off there that Daniel Murphy can't keep this going after.
And I think the one thing that you got to remember is we're going to be playing games in November. I mean, it could be snowing in Kansas City. It could be snowing in New York. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's where I think you've got to shorten the season to maybe 154 or 150 or something like that, so that we're not playing baseball in November when
in the snow.
I mean, imagine if this was at Wrigley, or if it was in Denver or something like that, where you don't know what the weather's going to be like. And it's no fun to play in that. It's no fun. It's fun to go and watch, but let's face it, it's much more fun to watch a baseball game at night when it's 60 degrees and not 35. I mean, it's just weather could play a factor in this series. There's no doubt about it.
Badgers, Stavis, they say is good to go. Would you start him or Bart Houston?
No, I think you got to start Stavi because it's kind of like, it is what it is. I mean, Bart played well, but Bart also threw a couple of passes. But, boy, are they banged up. They are just beat up, and thankfully they got a cupcake schedule. Rutgers is terrible. Indiana's the usual, not good. I mean, the Badgers could finish 10-2 and with maybe the worst 10-2 team ever in the history of college football.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's probably not that far off.
It's not that. I mean, who are we going to lose to? Northwestern, possibly. I don't know who else beats us. We're not going to lose to Indiana. We're not going to lose to Rutgers. We're not going to lose to Maryland. I mean, I guess the one game I'd be worried about is Northwestern.
Yeah. I'm just not even that interested anymore.
I know. It's crazy. If Iowa would have lost a game, but Iowa's not going to lose, so we're going to end up, who knows, Alamo Bowl or something like that. Yeah.
That's about all we got to say about that.
Yeah.
If you want, you can get in touch with us. Email us, sports@gazetteextra.com. Let us know what you think of the show. You can follow us on Twitter or catch up with us on YouTube or iTunes and leave a comment there. You can track down Andy Ryder on the street. He's our producer, and you can just shake him down and ask him what in the world we're doing here.
What's going on here?
And that's probably all the ways.
And
the last one's probably the best.
Send donations. Just send blank checks, and we'll put them to good use.
Or gear. We always like to have more.
Always like gear, yes.
Jets at home. If you want to start your Halloween off right, you go there for the afternoon game Saturday and check that out before the trick-or-treating.
Probably costume party or something.
A little costume party going on. Right. That's all we got for this week. We'll see you back here next week as we track everybody going to state.
That's right.
Good luck to all the area runners at state cross country this week as well.
I second that.
See you next week, everybody.